Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni Viewer, and today the news I bring you comes not from the MonsterVerse and not from Godzilla Monster Planet, but from the realm of that exciting new media called television. It would seem that a live-action King Kong television series is being developed by IM Global Television and Mar Vista Entertainment. This new series will be called King Kong Skull Island. Because that sure won't get frustrating at all. Nope, not like there's another thing out there with a remarkably similar title. Actually, since I bring it up, as far as I can tell, King Kong Skull Island has no connection to the MonsterVerse. Despite the remarkably similar title, there's no mention of the MonsterVerse anywhere in the article, which leads me to think this is probably its own thing. Actually, the MonsterVerse is mentioned in the articles, but there is no connection made between it and this new series. And it will be a first for the eighth wonder of the world. He's been on TV before, but every previous entry has been an animated series. This will be the first live-action series. So, what do we know so far? Well, not much, but here's what's mentioned. First of all, the writers will be Jonathan Penner and Stacy Title, whose major credit mentioned in the article is The Bye-Bye Man. Never heard of it, title means nothing to me, so hope they do a good job. Second thing worth mentioning is this description. Quote, "This version will be a serialized contemporary version of the classic with a female-led multicultural ensemble that delves fully into the wonders and horrors of Skull Island and its origins." Okay, so am I the only one who thinks that kind of reads as worrisome? Not because it's promising a female-led multicultural ensemble, that I have no problem with. What's getting me is the way it's being said. This feels like a statement made by people who are more concerned with focus groups and meeting certain demographic requirements than actually telling a good story. I'm not gonna dwell on this for too long and start saying, oh my gosh, this will be the worst show ever, because, well, quite frankly, we don't know if that's the truth or not. I'm just saying how this is reading to me. Considering this thing was only just announced and we literally have nothing else to go on besides a couple of articles reiterating the same points, well, it's way too early to pass judgment. I know, this coming from the guy who's worried about Godzilla Monster Planet because of the concept art. All I'm saying is, I hope the emphasis of this series is on telling a good story with good characters, rather than trying to portray certain types of characters because that's what people say they want. Because those kinds of stories have a tendency to not work, but that's a discussion for another day. The third major point is that this series will apparently draw most of its inspiration from the original King Kong movie and the book Kong, King of Skull Island by Joe DeVito. Now, this actually tells us quite a bit when you think about it, especially the fact that they're drawing from King of Skull Island. I don't want to give too much away, but in addition to presenting us with bizarre creatures in a similar vein to what we saw in the Peter Jackson movie, the book also gave us quote-unquote villains in the form of a race of super raptors, one of whom each generation grows to King Kong sizes in order to become basically the queen of the colony. So could this be our clue as to who the primary antagonists will be in the series? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So, am I looking forward to it? Well, yes, but again, I am being cautious. See, this is a live-action TV show that's going to be relying heavily on special effects. And I do wonder what sort of effect that will have, specifically when it comes to Kong himself. Remember, this is TV. With very few exceptions, TV shows don't have the same level of budget as movies do. Unless your series has the words Star Trek attached to it, you're probably not going to get much of a budget. Even then, of course, the budget isn't gonna be very big. People who regularly watch science fiction shows will notice that a lot of sets and/or CGI shots tend to get reused quite a bit. Usually we can forgive that when it comes to stuff like spaceships and whatnot, but when it comes to creatures, it's a bit different. I remember there was a TV show a few years back based on Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. In the early seasons, they wound up having to reuse a lot of shots for the dinosaurs, and it was painfully noticeable. Later seasons saw a wider variety of dinosaur footage, but the dinosaurs were also appearing less and less, so yeah. I'll have to actually do a more in-depth review of that show at some point. But there is a really big reason why I think this could be an issue. The primary reason most of us stick around for TV shows is because we like the characters. In this particular series, one of those characters would be King Kong, who can only be portrayed through special effects. Whether it's CGI or puppetry or a guy in a monkey suit, he's gotta be a special effect. But as I just mentioned, even shows with really big budgets have a tendency to reuse the big special effect shots. So do you see how that might be a problem? I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping this is gonna be one of those shows where they're given enough money to actually do what needs to be done. Even if they have to sacrifice photorealism with their CGI, as long as they are able to portray Kong and the other creatures as interesting characters in their own right, I don't think anyone will be too upset. It would be one of those forgivable sins, if you will. Time will tell how this series develops. So, what do you guys think? Are you excited to have a new King Kong TV series? Are you slightly annoyed that they couldn't come up with a better title than just taking the title of the movie and slapping an extra word on it? Do you think drawing inspiration from the King of Skull Island book is a good idea or a bad idea? Feel free to leave your thoughts below. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer, signing off.